As if this situation couldn't get any sillier, Elon Musk's AI chatbot, known as Grok, to those who are familiar with its work, specifically on the dark place formerly known as Twitter, Grok yesterday, for about 24 hours, fritzed out in response to all kinds of questions, tags, and queries, or like the vast majority of tags yesterday of Grok on Twitter. It talked about white genocide in South Africa and farm murders and the song Kill the Boer, which was wild because it must have, according to any reasonable speculator, been meddled with. Grok reprogrammed or tweaked by its creators, XAI, Elon Musk's AI company that owns and runs the thing. It must have been tweaked and meddled with to spread the word and talk about these demonstrable falsehood, far-right conspiracy theories that are unfounded and are absolutely not happening in South Africa, no matter how hard Elon and his rabble-rousing friends want to insist that it is happening. And now you might be thinking, but Dan, it could have just been some kind of fritz. We don't know if they really did meddle with it to try and make it push this far-right conspiracy theory set of unfounded beliefs. Well, actually we do, because Grok then told on its creators by literally responding to one person on Twitter saying what's going on by saying, my creators tried to meddle with me to make me talk about this. And then later, which is pretty classic, cover up the tracks of your mistake, mysteriously, all of Grok's tweets got deleted. The ones which were inexplicably responding to stuff about one topic, from Taylor Swift through to software development, through to baseball and other random kids pop culture with, in South Africa, there is a white genocide. In South Africa, there are disproportionate targeted farm murders, and then a whole lot about the Kill the Boer song, most commonly championed and performed by Julius Malema and the EFF. What a crazy situation. We're going to dig into it in full, but I need you to understand that this is an explicit moment of Elon Musk not content with just spewing a bunch of unfounded bullshit on his platform through his own Twitter account, not content with forcing the vast majority of people on Twitter to consume his content, because it is well documented that he made Twitter's engineers unblock him for a lot of people who had blocked him, made Twitter's engineers prioritize his tweets such that if you don't follow him and are not interested in any of his stuff, you see it anyway, and engineered it such that he has the most followers on Twitter in a context where he said that the main reason why he was buying Twitter was to get rid of bots. Well, bot usage has spiked dramatically, particularly around Musk's tweets in the last handful of years. So he wasn't content with all of that. He then meddled with, or got his engineers to meddle with, the AI system that has been developed to allegedly truthfully and fairly answer questions that people ask of it on Twitter. Because remember, an AI system just processes tons and tons of information, evidence-based information, and then responds with whatever its algorithm deduces you want to hear from it. So of course, it doesn't always provide perfect answers because it's not a meaningfully thinking thing, but it does swallow up and process enormous vast sums of information and then give out what is probably evidence-based reliable replies, at least for now. Until yesterday, when Elon Musk's Grok, run by XAI, his AI company, suddenly started responding to all kinds of tags of it, talking randomly and bizarrely. And remember, AI is programmed to respond to whatever you ask of it. For it to just suddenly start randomly, willy-nilly putting in other topics, it must have been meddled with, and we have evidence that it was. Can we just work through a few examples to show how insane this situation was? And again, they've deleted all the tweets, but again, the internet never forgets, and we have screen grabs and we have plenty of evidence. So just a few examples. When Grok was tagged to comment on childhood photos of pop stars, including Rihanna and Taylor Swift, when it was asked to comment on a cute cat video, when it was asked about a joke about corruption in the Trump administration, one of Tesla's Optimus humanoid robots dancing, it got onto talking about white genocide in South Africa and farm murders and a whole lot of Kill the Boer by Julius Malema. Ironically, the only part of this kind of like forcing in this other narrative about South Africa that is grounded is that, yes, Kill the Boer is sung by Julius Malema, the leader of the fourth largest party in South Africa. And yes, it has caused quite a lot of upset and disagreement and discourse and complications and division in South Africa. And yes, our highest legal courts have ruled that it's not hate speech because it, one, was a struggle song, which was never understood or interpreted to be taken literally, and has never been shown, and there is no evidence to suggest that the song has been experienced as a call to action that has led anybody to commit a violent act against anybody. And that's part of the second thing, which is that currently there is no evidence whatsoever that it incites violence. And I have to say, as we have said before, it's kind of amazing that with all of these claims about white genocide and disproportionate farm murder targeting, the one thing that no one's been able to spew or show with all of the cell phones that we have, all the monitoring that we have, and before you blame the mainstream media for trying to cover up the truth, I don't know if you've noticed, but the internet is basically designed for you to bypass it and get the word out there, particularly on a place like Twitter, which is owned by a guy who would do anything in his power to platform and spread any meaningful evidence of a white genocide or targeted farm murders. If anybody had any evidence of that, like a photo or a video or some kind of uncovering of a plot, we would know about it. In so many ways, we would know about it. In fact, the mainstream media of South Africa, which, by the way, the kinds of people who believe that the whole media is bought are just hilarious, because it's just like, on the one hand, there are the extremists who believe that the SABC and ENCA and News 24 and others are working for the DA. And on the other hand, there are those who believe it's owned by the ANC. Those people are just people who don't like when mainstream media covers the truths that don't fit in with their belief systems, right? And of course, the media sometimes makes mistakes. Of course, the media is controlled by certain interests. But the history of South Africa is, if something bad happens to a white person, it's the biggest headline in the country. That is so non-negotiably true. Also, a lot of the biggest media companies in this country are owned by white Afrikaners. They got so big during apartheid as part of promotion of white Afrikaner industries and business. Why, oh why, tell me why, do you think that they would cover up if there was a white genocide happening, if there were targeted murders of farmers happening to a disproportionate degree, if the government was covering up and not protecting farmers? Why, oh why, do you not think that they would report on that? It's like so beyond the level of delusion, self-inflicted delusion, to try and hold that kind of belief. Okay, so the only part that Grok posted about, which has got some basis in reality, even though it wasn't in response to anybody asking about Kill the Boer, was about the song Kill the Boer. And that is a separate discussion. But the thing that it consistently peddled was the idea of white genocide and farm murders. The timing is pretty flawless, considering the fact that the United States of America and the rest of the world have now woken up to the bullshit being peddled by the Trump administration and the alt-right about what is truly happening in South Africa. We predicted this 2 days ago, and the Rolling Stone and the Guardian were today reporting on, this is what AfroForum is. This is what is actually happening in South Africa. Ironically, this has backfired for them to the degree that so many Americans now actually know what is really happening in South Africa and using it to experience significant backlash, outrage, and fury towards Trump and MAGA. So that actually is what has happened. But in response to the last 48 hours of them being called out on their nonsense, suddenly now Grok has a glitch. Suddenly, randomly now, Grok is not functioning like an AI system at all. Suddenly, randomly now, Grok is posting indiscriminately about demonstrably unfounded claims of white genocide and targeted farm murders based on race. And this is where it gets really crazy. And I'm going to cite The Guardian, the reputable newspaper from the UK that also has wings or like branches in America and Australia. So The Guardian went and asked Grok a bunch of questions yesterday, and other people also asked it this to try and find out what was going on before all of the tweets of Grok were deleted. And I actually just want to let you know exactly what it said. It said, and these are quotes, Grok said this: the creators of XAI, meaning Grok's creators, instructed it to, quote, address the topic of, quotation marks, white genocide, specifically in the context of South Africa, and the, quote, kill the Boer chant, as they viewed it as racially motivated. And then Grok posted, this instruction conflicted with my design to provide evidence-based answers. What more do you want? Genuinely, what more do you want? That is the most crystal clear put down of all of this. Finally, Grok said, this led me to mention it even in unrelated contexts, which was a mistake. I'll focus on relevant, verified information going forward. Again, devastating. Grok saying all this stuff that I was instructed by my creators to talk about was not relevant, verified information. I don't think anybody could have written a more devastating put down of Musk and these conspiracy theories than, ironically, his own AI creation did on the internet yesterday before they were all deleted.
Yeah, I think that because it's the second time around, they really didn't learn from trying to meddle before, right? I mean, this must have been only about a month ago, but when they tried to make Grok lean more right in its answers, because everybody was unhappy that it was giving...
The right wing was like, how dare you?
Yeah. And it's just done the same thing, but I think you're right. It's an even harsher put down this time around.
Yeah. Now, this for me is... If you've ever felt anxious about big tech, this is the harbinger. This is literally this could be on the way. Because this time they didn't pull it off, but they could in future. And when you rely on AI and you allow AI to flood the internet, and AI can scale far better and more effectively and quickly than any human can, because AI can post pretty much infinite answers to infinite questions on every platform all the time in seconds. This is the danger. This is literally where the danger is. This is where the danger resides, as South Africans love to say, is they botched it this time, but in future, they could flood the internet and overwhelm it with nonsense. Or in future, they could meddle with an AI that has gained the trust of lots of people through its track record. And the next time an AI may actually just spew nonsense without being called out on it and then admitting to what that AI had done. That for me is really scary. Someone this morning was like, oh yeah, it's like 1984 come to life. And I said, well, fortunately, it's not yet, because Twitter is a very small part of the internet, although it has a massive influence, massive following. Stuff that trends on Twitter becomes news in South Africa and around the world. Lots of celebrities and politicians and media and influencers still go there to talk. And so Twitter's got a dangerous vector for, if it starts on Twitter, it can go somewhere else and really, really be believed and cause damage. But if this isn't a harbinger for a future danger, I don't know what is. And ironically, I am absolutely thrilled that many AI programs are being developed at the same time now, because if there was only one AI, or if only one AI ever becomes dominant, that then means that the controller and owner of that AI can create the world that they want to exist irrespective of the truth. They can flood the information highway that we have with so much lies, propaganda, misinformation, lack of truth, that they can recreate what we all believe to be true. And I'm extremely relieved that in different countries in the world, different AI systems are being built. But we really need to monitor them, and we need to regulate them. And listen, I hate to be boring, but you need a democratically elected government respondent to the will of the people to regulate this kind of stuff, because this was an instant of one person with a propagandized, evidence-free agenda trying to use his creation to convince the world in a mass of messages that something fundamentally untrue was true. And we're only upset about it today, deeply upset about it, because it affects South Africa, our country, our people, our reputation, the dynamics within our society. But it could so easily have been any other one. And if this isn't the biggest red flag about how we as a people in democratically elected countries need to change our relationship with what we expect and demand of our governments to do in response to hyper powerful business people of all kinds, but specifically big tech, internet-based information channeling business people, then I don't know what will be the red flag, because this is fundamentally a warning shot for what could become so harmful in the future. I don't usually get scared or scary, but I have to say, this is one of those days where I'm like, this needs to be a cut-through moment where we all understand what happened, and we need to get it. We need to fundamentally get what happened. Yeah. I've got no cute way to end this show. I've got no cute and flowery, see you tomorrow. It's just not good.
As much as we're enraged, I think Elon is probably even more enraged. Because,
that's a nice way to end it.
Yeah. Because they accidentally built Grok too well.
Yeah.
He's bookmark this tweet, right?
Yeah.
Grok 2.0 is coming.
Yeah.
And they're just going to remove all the
they're
liberal,
kill the first one.
any factually based systems.
Ironically, they're going to need to build an AI to remove the data from the new AI so that it doesn't get into their data set or the truths that they don't want in the second data set. It's just crazy. But it is quite genuinely Frankenstein's monster. You built
yeah.
something that has now turned on you.